Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Just want to give everybody a couple minutes to join before we begin. Just going to give everybody a couple more minutes and then we'll begin. Well, I'm going to get started today. Well, first, thank you for joining us today here at our Lunch and Learn. First thing I want to talk about is this Wednesday, we actually have a webinar, Growing Your Banking Customer Base Faster and Smarter Loan Origination. So, Chris, I don't know if this actually applies to you, but I just want to make you aware of this. So we're hosting this, and of course, it could be that you're in any industry. You should always attend these webinars. Just you might grab a piece of golden nugget out of each one of these webinars. But we're holding this is part one of our business transformation series, explaining how financial institutions are fueling revenue and customer growth through automation. You can go to our website right here. So simply want to go to our website and click on this link right here to register. And Jeff Ward will be running this webinar. He is our Director of Innovation Financial Services at Decision. And you host Jim Perry, who is a financial service marketing guru of Marketing Insights Incorporated. So please do not miss Jim and Jeff's discussion about leveraging leading technology to gain competitive advantage against larger financial institutions or any institution. It might be whatever industry market you might be in. Join us as we showcase how dynamic tools can be used to achieve faster and smarter loan origination. Please register now because, of course, it's 48 hours from now, but you want to register as soon as possible to make sure you actually get a seat. So we'll bring that up. Please attend. So I want to start opening it up. Maru, is there any questions that you might have that are pre-submitted?
No, we don't have any today.
Great. So I'm going to open the floor to see if there's any questions any participants might have. So Chris, since you're a lone participant right now, do you have any questions for us today?
Gosh, I thought I typed one in, but I guess I don't know what happened to it. Question would be, suppose my decision system needs to receive a file.
Mm-hmm.
And the method of receiving this file is going to be sort of the off-the-cuff idea would be, well, could we provide the file to decisions by way of an HTTP post action? And I kind of thought, well, I know that there are ways to supply a file by way of a post. I mean, larger web does that, but what would it look like in decisions if I wanted a flow that would receive a post that had a file attachment that it would then be able to save off and then try and do something intelligent with it?
Great. So right now I'm going into my flow designer. So as you know, right, if you can see right here, this actually is our version 8, which is actually be released here soon. Actually just released. This is our version 8 release. So you can see some things that change from the UI UX perspective to make it even easier for people to use. So as you know, Chris, if you want to take anything into decisions through an API call, you first need to add it as an input to the workflow. So I'll just add in file date file. And are you want to send it through as file data or as a document? Or how do you want to send it through?
I don't know the ramifications of one versus the other.
Not much difference. File data exposes a few more parameters to you that you can then see. So if I simply want to simply add a file as an input, to do my API service. And I'll show you all the different examples so you can see that differences today. And let's say, okay, I want my demo. So give it a second to load. So as you can see right here is a simple file. So it just gives you the file structure. You can give it an ID, a name, and contents. And you know the contents must be in a bytes. You must
Okay.
convert the file to bytes to be able to send through an API.
Is that a, so that would be a binary.
Mhm.
Now, is that a particular, is it a particular, is there a special encoding for it, or is it actually just, you know, raw bytes?
So usually what we do is we just convert to bytes, usually from bytes. So what you can do is simply convert a string, or you convert something to just list of bytes, just a list of bytes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that would go with a base 64 encoded result to get me to a byte array.
Yep.
And then from the byte array, I have to get to a file data, right?
Well, the byte array you pass into decisions as the contents.
Okay.
So that's your byte array. The file name you're passing in the string value. The ID you're just giving an ID, and that's actually what creates file data. File data decision really is the bytes, the name, and the ID. That's all file data is in decisions. And to show you how that works, if I simply wanted to say, create
Well,
data.
I mean, the thing that's sending the bytes in this case is not another decision server. So it's not one decision server talking to the other. It's actually a Java program trying to post. So I was sort of scratching my head about how do I tell them what are your boundary markers or things like that when I was looking at that message format. Now, I don't know if your other option, maybe like sending a document would might make that work better in some fashion.
Yep. So here's the document, which has a lot of different type of things in here.
I see.
But this also can pass through information, but it still requires the content, and the file still does the file stream value. You have more parameters, but it still requires a list of bytes to come through.
Okay. So fundamentally, the document doesn't change the mechanics of handing off the
No,
and the other two examples, they have the same pattern in them.
correct. They just have more visible inputs you might have. So like right here, you can have a document ID types. You can have different types of parameters with your document or with file that you don't have in file data. And that's really
Right.
the difference.
Huh. Yeah,
But
I
most
think
times it's got to be converted to a file, or there's another parameter you do have that you could create if you definitely don't want to send it through byte array or couldn't. You can always load a file, put the file name, and actually get it from a parameter. So like you could have your Java place that file in a file storage location, okay? And then you could have kick off the workflow and then have decisions load that file in the file location.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the last option. I think
I know, I agree. That's the worst option, but that is an option you do have if you can't use your Java platform to convert it to a list of bytes.
If my Java platform were to base 64 encode it, right? That's potentially one way to send it. what would be the raw file content then. And from base 64, we have this step to go back to bytes.
Correct.
Can I go from bytes to file?
Yeah. So use your easy way to do that is your create data step or create file step, either one. And right here, you pick your data. There's a list of bytes, and then your file, you put your file name. So you have two ways to do it, or you can just create data step, either one.
And I could create a file reference perhaps directly this way too.
Yes. Let me get you a file reference. Where's my file reference? Yep, and there's your
Turtles
file.
all the way down.
Yep. When you're done with list, that's how it goes. And then right here's your file name, and here's other information coming in. After your create file step, you still got to create the file to create the name, and then you pass the name into this.
Oh,
That's
okay.
your file reference.
All right, so create file, then create file reference. That's the, I'm sure I've done something of that sort already. I guess that's the basic questions then. So we would have to do some fiddling on our side to see what the Java people can do. But I think the last resort would be a base 64 encoding.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, why do I think there are a couple of flavors of base 64 in the wild, but I think most of the world has settled down to one type. I don't know if you've bumped into that before.
I have not. But just so you, I'm a Stack Overflow guy. I don't know if you are or not. But right here, base 64 into bytes in Java.
Right.
So there's a way to simply drag and drop the code in there.
Yeah, I mean, you see the Java 8 method, and that was one of the big helps that they offered. And I think what my memory is telling me is that, yeah, there with a base 64 encoder, they have there are a couple of encoders actually to support the different flavors of base 64 encoding.
Yep.
Over there in Java. All right. I think that tells me what I was. I guess the more important thing though is that I can receive this by post into a flow, and then my flow could do something useful like create a file reference and attach it to my case, which is what ultimately could be end up doing.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was pretty painless.
And Chris, just so you know, I'm actually going to post something else in the chat, just so you have it. Is another document on V8 and how you can encoding and decoding base 64 to string, from file to all that information. Also, you pass your Java team.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, Josh, I see you joined. How are you doing today? Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, good morning, Tyler. I just jumped on more to listen, but let me see if I could think of something.
Well, is everybody having a good first day of spring? Or fall, if you're from the Southern Hemisphere?
Definitely feels like spring. Yeah, it's warmer down here in Mexico City.
I bet it's quite warm. And just to make you aware, Josh, we do have a webinar for our growing your bank customer base fast and smarter loan origination. This Wednesday from 12 to 1. You're more welcome to join us there also.
I would love to join that. Good to know. I didn't know about it. How do I, can I find the link decisions.com or?
Yep, right here on our events website.
Oh, great.
It's right here. You can register right here.
Thanks for letting me know.
No problem. while we're thinking, Josh, Chris and Josh, what version of Decisions are you guys on?
We're over here at 6.
6? What about you,
Mhm.
Josh?
I'm on, let me tell you real quick. 710.
7.10. All right, so you're on the latest. Well, and Chris, you'll be up here soon. As you can see right here, I'm actually in version 8, which is just a release. As you can see right here, the navigation panel has changed, and to me is a lot easier to use. As I simply go here, here's my favorites. I can have a favorites list. I can have my start workflow category right here. I can have my folder structure. I have my recent items right here. And then right here on my system folder. So instead of having one long folder tree, which you could have hundreds of different folders, and it broke it out and made it very, very simple to use. And of course, you still have all your functionality down here for documentation, chat, and our errors we might have. You can see them all right here also. That's the big navigation change that happened with version 8 was this new extended folder tree. Of course, you can always minimize it to get a fuller screen and have all the flexibility you still had earlier, but just makes it easier to manage.
That's fantastic.
How did the portal change?
Still has that same bar. Of course, you can't see the system folder. You can still see your recents, your folders, your great workflow and favorites.
You say though that show me that workflow again. Okay, start workflow, and that is probably what I'm used to seeing a lot of.
Correct. Especially if you go to V6. Now let me show you this one.
One of the things I have wondered, it took me a couple of years to finally get the question in my head, that I think when we started with Decisions on release 5, I believe the consultants, for whatever reason, I don't know, for whatever reason, I think there was this early decision to embrace the workflow catalog as the primary way for users to find dashboards. And one of the things that we steered away from is using folders for that purpose. And so as a rule, users in our system do not see any folders. And I can't help wondering if we've made a mistake by going down that road.
It's a design pattern. What I normally recommend is when I lead our proof of concept team. I'm over our sales engineering team. So usually what we design it is we design a landing page where you kick off a workflow from a landing page. And that one landing page drives everything for a user. So it's driving the ability to simply, go in here and have, just like this, a navigation page would say here. I want to go to this dashboard. I want to go to my navigation page. It's like this one navigation page would be the only thing that the user sees, and then everything's driven off this one page. They can simply click buttons here to kick off workflows, kick off processes, go to a different screen, as you can see here, and they use this one landing page to really drive that user experience. That makes sense, Chris?
It does. Now, I'm guessing that most of the time this landing page is going to hook you up to a different dashboard.
Yeah, depending on your user rights.
And that's where we and that's what, remember how I said I think it's a mistake that we have our folders hiding because we didn't want to have both the folder and the
start workflow
catalog. Yeah, we didn't want those two to be in some sense same but different and then confusing. And because our folders are hidden, if you try to browse to a dashboard when the folder's hidden, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But the workflow catalog will get you there. And that's been an outstanding mystery. Why is the workflow catalog seems to work, but I can't do it? I can't help the user browse there. It's one of the things that's been an outstanding mystery for me.
I would say I have to look at your permission structure, but there is in the user rights, if I look at the folder, if I look at my folder tree here and just click on this, let me go back to the studio, give me a second. I can do some edits. If I look right here in permissions, can use, but can see hidden is turned off. If you have can use turned on, but you can't see hidden, you hidden the folder. That
Mhm.
means they can use it in a workflow, but they can't see it in the folder tree.
Interesting. No one brought that one up before. That's
So if you have can
something to
use,
look at.
like
Yeah.
just thinking about it from an end user working in the system folder, okay? So an end user might need to fetch all the users of the system, might be fetch a group from the system. The user needs to still use maybe integrations that are still in the system folder. So they can use the system folder to access those integrations, access those things in the system folder, but they can't see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So think about the same principle there is, to kick off a workflow, to kick off that process, they gotta have can use, right?
Right.
So to turn that on, you have can use, but if they can't see hidden, you've gone over your hidden folder, either through architecture of the software or manually gone through, they can't see it. They can't navigate to it. But if they have the can use permissions, they can do it.
It's an interesting debate.
Mhm.
So Tyler, on the navigation page, is your API always a user interface with a direct URL to expose in a web browser? Is that the basis of access?
Well, the basis of access would normally be I log into decisions. This is
Okay, so
how
they
we
gotta go into decisions.
they log in decisions and they simply hit a landing page. So if you go to our system folder, like you go to groups, and let's show you an account. Let's just show you an account right here. Let's look at myself. With each group or account, you can always go here and hit default folder. And that will automatically open up there, or you can create a login link where it only links it to that one landing page, and you can have Chrome go off. So only they see this one seamless web experience that is actually for their entire, and they never know their decision really. It's just one seamless experience as your organization. And that allows you to simply have this. I go back to saying that one seamless experience. They kick off workflows from the dashboard. They can view dashboard reports. They can navigate between dashboards. This is the way we architect in the PLC team because we're really focused on that UI UX experience.
Okay, so it was default folder at page of your choice, and then it was, what was the second one?
So you can pick a folder. So I can say, okay, I want
Okay.
to log in as dashboards. And I want to say, okay, I want to log in as the manager.
Sure.
This is myself. And save. And then also, you can also create default folder for groups. So you can create a default folder and group. And you also create in a login flow also.
Login flow. Okay, that was it.
Yep.
So the login flow. Okay.
Mhm.
And from your experience with case entities, can the case entity be exposed in the portal? I didn't see the published workflow for a case entity like there are for other types. For
I mean
example,
that
case view, runtime view.
you can build dashboards around them.
Okay, that's what it is. So I can embed my case view runtime
Mhm.
flow into dashboard. Okay.
So normally what we do is we case view, and usually what we do from their standpoint also, sometimes I'm not a big fan of the case view. So we design our own case view look that, has it more dynamic, has it more set up by states. When you can then, right click and change state
Okay, gotcha.
based on your user permissions.
Interesting.
Hey, Tyler, that's been really helpful, but I think I do have to drop.
No problem. Well, I hope you're having a great first day of Easter or first day
Okay.
of spring, Easter, whatever day it is. It's a Monday for me.
Yay, spring. Thanks a lot. See you.
Well, I wish I had another topic to go through. Yeah, maybe it's just interesting to discuss what I was working on. So get this. So I have my case entity and I have an integration with Salesforce.
Mhm.
So where I'm working from initial code request to credit funding.
Okay.
And as soon as our sales rep gets a quote request from the client, they go in Salesforce and you have a button that triggers decisions.
Mhm.
Our sales rep clicks the button and decisions is triggered. It pulls the related contact role.
Mhm.
It creates a case. It creates a case entity within my case structure. It creates my S3 folder path. It creates a Slack channel, and it creates the basic data structure.
Okay.
And in parallel, the client receives a create account link where the client can create their guest decisions account and they can start entering data and uploading files. And yeah, it was that was great. I have to do the S3 file path and the Slack integration, Salesforce integration. I have data flows and form rules
Mhm.
that trigger every time if a form is open. So every time a file is uploaded into decisions, it's saved automatically in S3. And yeah, from there, our due diligence underwriting process kicks off.
I have the exact same use case for my team around our proof of concepts.
Yeah, it's very, yeah, I think the same as you. I few experiences and, taking lessons from those, definitely using the landing page, using
Mhm.
background data flows and form rules.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes things way simpler.
So what I've done right here, if you can see, I have my request flow, which actually kicks off a process from Salesforce, brings in the op ID, and then in here, I'm pulling information from Salesforce,
Mhm.
and
Great.
then
SQL, okay.
I'm using SQL. We have steps, but I'm lazy. We have a lot of custom fields, so we have
But it's more
tons of custom fields.
SQL is way more flexible, for dynamic stuff.
Yep.
If you do it from the beginning. Yep.
Yep. So and then I have a form. Then I simply create my work, create my data, and then every part of and every part of my case. Here's my case. As you see through the workflow I have, I also update the POC status in Salesforce every trigger of each step of the process. But
That's
just like
next piece of work is putting on. I get from Salesforce in my next thing in my version 2 is to put on Salesforce. Okay, let's update.
But if you go into my review requested work, I'm doing the same thing you are, except we're using Google Drive. I'm using our IT ticketing system. I'm using our project management solution, and then I'm using Slack, doing the exact same steps.
That's great. It's fantastic, super detailed. And your case entity, what purpose does it serve in the workflow? Is that the internal user's interface, or is it just an engine in the background, or
It's an engine in the background, so I control status and what during the process it is. Because some things might be rejected, they might not go to pipeline, they might go from pipeline straight to wireframing or building. They might be building to deliver, so it really jumps around the process. That's why I use a case. You might go from adjustment to this.
Okay, can a state go back if you go from port validation to adjustment? Can it go back to?
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on your permissions.
Okay, where are those permissions? I understood that the state cannot go back.
So you can create an all trigger flow. You can create a user action, or you can go in action visibility rule and create rules around who can do what functions. That's completely up to how you organize your user rights.
Okay, got you.
No, I don't. I put a case back because I understand what the ramifications of putting a case back and forth is. That's really up to your SOP for your organization. Because I might go on hold, I might come back to,
Interesting. I got some work to do then, because I thought my case entity, the case view, was my kind of internal user access point, but now I'm understanding it's way simpler to embed those in dashboards and have the user.
Oh, yeah, I would never show it in user this one or in your case list. What I always would done would have a dashboard where I have a report based off this data. So we're building dashboards right now. This project's still.
Okay. Yeah, I have a case list on a page.
Mhm.
And when you click on the case, it goes to the case view.
Yeah.
Not the editor view,
The case view.
the case view itself.
So I prefer to more look at a dashboard
Yeah.
and then have a dashboard right here, which has a report of all my cases.
Okay.
And then
this is the case entity.
yeah, this is a case entity report.
There it is.
So this right here is my data folder. And then right here's all the data here in my case entity. And then I have my right click actions, which could change state or change functionality on it.
That's great.
And then, you know, if you want a deep dive, you can click on it and create a deep dive page. And a deep dive page can be as pretty as you want from a dashboard perspective instead of, or a form perspective, where you edit it instead of having to deal with the case editor view. It gives a lot better seamless UI UX experience.
Good. Fantastic. All right. Well, I don't want to waste your time, Tyler.
No, you're not wasting my time at all.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I guess if there's no one on, we could cut a bit early. I appreciate your time.
Not a problem. All right. Well, everyone have a great first day of spring. If there's no one on, Maru, are we safe to close it?
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, everyone have a great rest of the day.
You
Thank
too.
you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.